Hey there folks, Elita Legionarii here, and today I am back at Napoleon Total War. It's been quite a while since I brought you some Napoleon action, but I really need to upload some Napoleon action because I have a lot of Napoleon battles, and they were very good battles, and I just have not got around to uploading them. Basically because I've just been busier, and just in general, I like to give my videos a good couple of days each, sometimes even 3 days to get sufficient views. So it just means that I have all these battles that bank up over time and a number of weeks build up before I get them. But there are several very good battles I did here in Napoleon which have been sitting in this replay folder of mine for quite a while now, and I really need to get them up. So without further ado, the one I'm going to upload today is whereabouts when this loads. It is a 4v4 and I did this France. As you can see, I've got one, two, three, four, five. I've got like 6 or 7 battles here that need to be uploaded. So this is a 4v4 I did as France, and as you can see the players there, we have myself, someone named Stefan, MudMan, and Bond, James Bond. Sorry, I couldn't help that. I had to do my Sean Connery impression, which is terrible, I know. And then was it N.G.E, Bro 22, Proximity, USSR, and Wait, I guess, is the defender team. This is the Sunken Jungle map, and it's a map I had not fought on up until this point, and I think this was probably like the first 4v4 I'd actually managed to get going on Napoleon, and boy, it was epic. This is going to be quite long, so I will do a bit of editing here and there, just because otherwise you guys will be watching quite a long video, which, you know, is fine for some of you, but I know some of you prefer it if your videos are more straight to the point, which is understandable, and not too much waiting around. So yeah, as I said, I'm playing as France, and my army consists of, I think it was 5 units of Voltigeur, 1 7th Regiment of Chevaux Legionnaires Lancers, 1 regular Chevaux Legionnaires Lancers, 3 militia units as meat shields, I do believe it was 1 Polish Legion and 4 Swiss Foot, General Staff of course. Then I had 1 Old Guard, 2 Young Guard, and a Guard Seaman as my guard. So I'm going with a pretty typical move by France, having a strong guard corps, holding action with your kind of line infantry and your skirmishers, and a couple of cavalry in support. My allies here are Portugal. Portugal's an interesting choice, but Portugal actually has, let me just pause it because action begins quick. Portugal actually, while has terrible cavalry options, the skirmishers are the absolute best in the game. They're even better than the Prussian ones, not by heaps and heaps, but they are better, and the line infantry is pretty good too, actually, at least in terms of shooting it is. So they're not as bad as they might seem, but their cav is quite terrible, to be honest. But this guy's got a mixture of militia, cazadores, tiradores, and regular line infantry basically, and he's got some Portuguese cavalry, which is probably really just going to be used for disruption because it really is quite crap. Looks like he's got some grenadiers as well, because again they've got no guards. Then we have 2 British allies. We have, I think this was MudMan, he's got a mixture of Highland Foot, Light Foot, he's got like 88 Conanaut Rangers, he's got rifles of course, King's German Legion Foot, Light Foot, just the general British gear, Dragoons it seems. This might be, yeah, out here on the left we've got Mr. Bond, James Bond. Sorry, I can't help that. I have a terrible habit of trying to take off Sean Connery voices when I think of movies or things that he's been in or characters he's played. Anyway, yeah, he's also playing as Britain. So that's our armies. Our opponents are Prussia out here with the, looks like a mixture of grenadiers in the front line. That's unusual. Musketeers. Let's see, was there any Prussian? He's got Silesian Schutzen and some Prussian Fusiliers, of course. They made a really interesting and really different army from the Ottoman Empire here. We had like just a massive spam of cavalry, of Sipahi Lancers and Zilitar Guard. We just had a whole crap ton of them, which turns out to be challenging for me in this fight, and I'll show you as the battle develops why. And then there was another guy here who was using the Ottomans, and he's got a mixture of Sipahi lancers, Silatar guards, as Azars, and Palestinian auxiliaries, N.G.E cadet. This guy was new because he didn't really go with any Semat Janissaries, which is usually the considered thing for the Ottomans. And then directly opposite me, and I won't pause it now, is another French player, and this guy was definitely, in my opinion, the best player on their team. He played very well in this battle, and being directly opposite me, he gave me a pretty challenging battle indeed. He's got a mixture of Polish Legion, Chasseurs, probably going for the numbers over the quality of the Voltigeurs. I find the Voltigeurs perform better, but Chasseurs do have the more numbers. Then he's got, looks like 3 Old Guard, 2 more Chasseurs, and a bunch of Polish Legion over here. A Young Guard. Yeah, he's got less line for more guard. Now here he makes an interesting move. He charges his Chasseur Cheval, 2 units of Chasseur Cheval, and he's going to charge at my guys while I'm moving up. And I'm not fully in position here, as you can see. I'm trying to move to these positions, so this isn't a bad move. But I halt my guys here in the hopes that they'll fire, but they don't. Now apparently my sound is a bit shitty, so for some reason they're not. There we go. I don't know, sometimes this might happen, the sound might cut out. I don't know why, it's been doing that of late on Napoleon. It's a bit of an arse, but needless to say, it is happening. But yeah, he gets into my guys here, but I just get my line up enough to shoot him, and then the Portuguese player comes in with his cab from this flank here, and he'll support me. So that was a dangerous move by the French player. Automatically you can see he was being very aggressive and proactive, and he did get some of my lighter unit, my Voltigeurs, which was a nuisance, but it also meant he lost 2 units of cavalry, so I think the trade-off was probably still in my favour in the end, thanks to some good support by Portugal there. Anyway, as you can see, I'm moving up there. There's my movement orders. I'm putting guys down here as well. I'm going to try and fight within these woods, and maybe try and knock this area out here so I can wrap around, but it doesn't work out to be easy like that. Looks like I might be under some fire from some of these Chasseurs here, or the Portuguese player was. And this Portuguese player played very well. He was a very good ally. These two, I felt they probably should have come this way more, to be honest, because it left a huge gap for this cavalry horde, and they end up taking real advantage of that later on, but I won't give away too much just yet. So as you can see, I'm pushing up. I'm going to try and meat shield rush up these Chasseurs, basically, but he's got Polish Legion behind, of course, but I want to just put withering as much fire down as I can down with these guys, and hopefully kill a few, and they'll absorb shots for me. Yeah, as you can see, sometimes my sound's cutting out. I'm not sure, there's maybe my sound card's playing up or something. Or maybe it's just Napoleon being strange, but there we go, it's on there. So yeah, he gets some pretty good shots off here, because I haven't pushed up far enough. But I'm just trying to use them as meat shields. It's their purpose to take hits. Over here we can see the... let me just pause again, I do apologise for this, but I just don't want the sound to be out like that, it's really annoying. As you can see, the Ottoman cav has pushed up, but the Portuguese player's got his guys in squares here, so this is good. But the problem is, as you can see, this huge horde, because this gap left by Britain here, leaves a huge gap there in the lines, and it's going to get right around behind myself and the Portuguese player, which was concerning. Over here I saw a bunch of these N.G.E cadet infantry and light infantry through here. So I got my Chevaux Legionnaires, and I'm going to just charge straight into this horde because I would get a lot of kills. So here goes. Mow down this large horde. It was a really good opportune target. As you can see, these guys lose quite a few men. There's more stuff going on over here, more attacks by the Ottomans. But as you can see, I was really worried about this because that's a lot of cavalry behind us. I mean, if they were to get behind one of us and one of them were to attack aggressively, and the cav horde just would smash into the back of us, it'd be very difficult. And I think it's the mistake made by this Britain player. And we'll tell him to get back here because, I mean, the Prussian army can be held by this guy on the left flank. Now this is where Mr. Bond was not doing a great job in this fight, as he was sitting around, which was annoying because we want him to push up and just attack Prussia, so that this guy could push in on the flank over here. Communication was okay in this fight. It wasn't super duper. It was good between me and Portugal, but it wasn't so great anywhere else. Well, it wasn't bad. It was good enough. But as you can see, I managed to kill a decent number of these guys. Probably not as much as I would have liked. Here I see another chance to get into the side of this unit here with my cav, and I might be being a little bit aggressive with my cav. Like, I'm still getting quite a few of his his infantry here and cav charges, and he's got some support fire coming in, although he's possibly hitting my guys here, which I prefer he wouldn't do, but it's hard to stop that sometimes. So over here, as you can see, there we go, got the sound back. Hopefully it stays there. I move up to skirmish a little bit with his guys here. I got my militia forward, and sure, my militia are getting hit by everyone, but that's their point. They're just a meat shield. Down here, as you can see, I've pushed up my old guard, my young guards. He's got a little bit of a guard advantage here, but I'm going to try and push around here, see if I can take down some of these young guards, because I've got 3 units concentrated here. So I'm going to try and push that around. So here I open fire on these guys. I get the first volley, which is great. Some reason I had to move my guys forward here. I don't know why I did that. Probably just trying to get more of my guys into firing angles, so there's like 2 units versus 1. So I'm going to be able to destroy this young guard if he keeps in this fight with my own guard seamen and my own young guard, and it is doing quite a bit of damage. And the wisest move he can make would be to just withdraw it, which I think he does, because he will definitely lose this particular fight, because it's got 2 versus 1 there, and that's a good trade-off for me. So up here it's still pretty skirmishy in the centre, and this is where Portugal and the Ottomans end up duking it out, and Portugal will smash the Ottomans in this. The Ottomans are not good shooters, they're rushers, great cav, great melee units, and just enough support from their gun units, but they are not particularly good at anything else. If we go up here, it looks like the Prussian and British fight's pretty static and slow at the moment, so I won't worry about that. The big stuff's happening down here. So yeah, some really nice good stuff here. It looks like my sound's working better now, that's good. So yeah, some really nice stuff here going on. This flank here, I decided not to push it, because if I push it too far, I'm pushing into his direction. But what was worrying me in this fight is like these Ottomans are completely behind us, so I have to leave Swiss foot in the back here and stuff like that, as does Portugal. But he's only got militia, so that's really dangerous. But he's got a couple of infantry behind it. Fortunately, because the Ottoman player here attacks kind of poorly, it's going to compensate for the fact that we are actually in quite a bit of danger, because this horde of Ottoman cavalry is now behind our lines. But here's some pretty epic shootouts going here. But this is a fight that Portugal will win, because Portugal's not too bad at gunfighting, but it's not really good at much else. Not much happening down there at the moment. Here that we see that the British players getting on the flank, take the opportunity to start moving around the flank here, to compensate for the fact that this huge horde of Ottoman cav is behind us. It's not conventional, but it could be very, very dangerous, because one of them could aggressively attack one of us, and the cav could come in from the back, and it would be very difficult to defend that. That's why we wanted this British player down here to offer some cover from that, or to do a flanking action to take the pressure away on one area. So here he's just bunching up. I'm pretty sure this Ottoman guy was new, because his tactics of attack were pretty bad. So here I'm skirmishing through here with the Cheshire, I believe, and I think I'm doing alright, but it's not doing heaps of damage. But what was worrying me here was it looked like this Ottoman horde of cav was coming in behind me, which I really didn't want to do, because it would mean I had to fight all that cav in my flank and all those French guards on the front, which is extremely challenging. But as you can see, pound for pound, the Ottomans are getting quite hammered here, and now there are British troops in support coming around the flank. Up the top, let's see, looks like there's a little bit of dueling going on up here between these guys, but it looks fairly slow and even here. As you can see, he's still got a bunch of men just sitting down the back there. I have no idea why. If I'd been this Prussian player, I would just pushed and rushed here, because he's got way more troops concentrated. He would easily destroy them. So I don't know what Mr. Bond was doing. Maybe he was ordering a martini, shaken not stirred. Oh, okay, I'll just stop. I'm just going to start with a Bond references. Anyway, as you can see, the Ottomans are starting to break through the centre, which is good, and with British troops now helping, it is definitely speeding up. But I do have a little concern here with all this French, all this Ottoman cav now coming behind me, which means I have to pull back units to try and guard against them. Otherwise, I'm just going to get myself in a lot of trouble trying to fight on two fronts like that. The Portuguese player brings his militia over to give me some extra support, which is good. As I said, but particularly me and the Portuguese player, we had some really good teamwork in this fight. But the other two, this British player was not. He was a wee bit slow at first, but he got with it later on. But Mr. Bond was much too slow. Anyway, we're basically going to. Portuguese players done a really nice job finishing off this Ottoman attack. It has been a pretty poorly coordinated assault, but I think he was a new player because his build just tells me he's new because he doesn't know the good builds with the Ottomans. Anyway, as you can see, he's getting badly shot up, but there are a couple of old guard over here, which is quite worrying, and this one's covering. As I said, this French player played well. He made a lot count in this fight, although he was a bit cocky, if I might say so. A bit full of himself, but he did play well. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, some bit of a shootout going on here. Looks like some of these British troops are getting into a bit of a shootout with these old guard, but he's got good cover in here, as you can see, and that should give him a bit of a chance to do a bit of damage to these guys. If we can outflank and destroy these old guards, that would be very, very good. As you can see, though, it's quite concerning for me because I've got like probably 10 plus Sipahi Lancers, and I think I had some Scimitar Guard here as well. Is this okay? At least 10 plus of cav behind me, in addition to all these units here, so I have to pull units back to act as a reserve, and that kind of weakens my centre here. As you can see, these guys got much more concentrated forces, and if I want to hold the centre to any extent, I have to commit more men here, which was worrying though, because I mean I've got to divide my forces to resist a push here and a charge here, which puts me at a bit of a disadvantage, but I do have some good terrain here, and I'm getting some pretty good shots off, and I'm going to start moving forces down here. As you can see, I'm bringing 2 Polish Legion down here to assist these cavalry, and for now I'm holding it out pretty good. These are his chasseurs here, which is shooting at my voltigeur out here, so I'm going to have to twist this flank around to face that. Through here I've got some Swiss foot shooting it out with his chasseurs, but I'm probably losing that fight. As you can see, he's definitely got a numerical advantage going on here, so I'm having a hard time with that. His cavalry is pushing through now, but I've left a unit of young guard as reserve, and I'm going to try and stretch it out as far as I can to get as much coverage to protect my lines here, because this could result in a very quick mass rout of my forces if I do not coordinate this well. So I'm trying to form my guys up in areas where his cav attacks will be difficult to make, and I can direct the fire. So over here, this unit's face, and I get some good shots off, and I get this unit into square here, which just means it's going to be vulnerable here, but I'm fortunate because I managed to rout this young guard, so it's not in direct fire from the unit opposite it, which was very good. Over here, I get into squares as well, I think. Did I? I think I just get into squares with both these units, which is really good. So I'm able to get into squares with all my guys just in time. Although worryingly, he is going to be able to push through here, but all the while he is taking heavy losses to his cavalry because of the squares. I'm going to pull off my old guard here to come and reinforce this fight. I'm holding the centre just because I got some good terrain, but I am losing it. But I managed to force back this Ottoman cav, but I was saying to Portugal and stuff, I really could use some help here because I'm trying to fight 2 lots of guys all at once. As you can see, he pushes up here, and these guys are under heavy assault. And again, I can't lead them in squares if I want to defeat this unit, but I can't go out of squares if I want to protect from the cav. And I'm hard pressed to fight both. I'm really hard pressed to be able to handle both here, but fortunately every time he charges I just get into squares in time and I am able to take the guys down. So if I can just drag this out long enough, I should be able to neutralise his cavalry. and I've brought in forces from up here. Oh no, sorry, that's my opponent. But then Portugal's going to cover me here, and I've still got my general staff and one of my voltigeurs up here. If I look through here, as you can see, these guys have won this fight up here. Over here, it looks like Britain's not really engaging. I mean, look, I don't know what he was doing this fight. He just left his guy standing down there. It was really weird. As you can see, his cav comes in again, but I managed to nullify it again with some squares, I think. And I got my old guard doing a bit of melee with his chasseurs, so they'll easily smash them up. But I was really worried about this cav here because it could just keep messing me up. But I've got these guys in squares, and as long as I got squares, I can resist it. Squares are pretty much can stop any sort of cavalry, really. Even a huge, massively outnumbered square, it still works against. So I'm definitely managing to neutralise it. I'm surprised. I was pretty impressed with the way I performed in this fight, to be honest, because I've been able to hold out against a concentrated assault by all these French guards, in addition to a mass assault by this cavalry, and I have been able to hold it out. And at the time I was pleased with that, because I'm not a super duper player of Napoleon Total War. I'm reasonable, but I'm not great. But needless to say, I have managed to resist it for the most part. He is going to get into this unit, which was a real nuisance, because if he gets into a unit that's not in squares, he'll destroy it fairly easily. And one of the enemy generals is down. Which one is this? I think that's the Ottoman who charged. Needless to say, though, I am under heavy shots here, but I have the Portuguese player who's coming in to help me now. And these cav are charging through. Unfortunately, I did not get squares here, which was very, very unfortunate, because it means I could possibly lose my infantry, and I don't want to lose my infantry. But this French player is now getting isolated and cut off by all of us, so we should be able to push him back here. I felt he should have pushed even harder. I think, like, he did pretty good, but I think he should have concentrated more and more onto my guys here. And the Ottomans should have coordinated attacks a little bit better, and I think they would have destroyed my army, because I had no means to destroy, take on two assaults from two angles like that. But I think I did a pretty good job of resisting that, to be honest, because that was pretty difficult. Anyway, I bring over a young guard and a Swiss foot here. This Ottoman cav is almost destroyed, which is fantastic. And this Polish legion, even though it was out of squares, has managed to resist being destroyed, which was absolutely fantastic, because I was sure it was going to be destroyed. Over here we see one of the enemy Polish legion fighting this militia, so that's probably going to result in the militia's death. And the militia are shooting these guys through here, but this guy's got wooded cover with his chasseurs and various line units. Now here, I kind of wish that they would push a little harder here, up here, to take the pressure off down here, because what's happening is these units down here are getting beaten by these units, and these units are not sort of pushing enough here. They're going as fast as they can, though. But there's still like 3 old guard here, I think. Yeah, 3 old guards, so it's going to be very hard to dislodge them. Through the back here, the Ottoman cav is again making threats against us. And we are getting some really good shots off on some of these guys here. We definitely are. The action's intense down here. Over here, though, it looks like Britain's engaging the old guard. But his men are really deep, which is not good. He should spread them out more, so that more men are shooting and he's not getting hit so much. But he's getting numbers down, and he should start to take that fight away. Over here we do lose this part of the fight, although I put my Swiss foot into melee with his young guard, which is more depleted, I think. No, it's not actually, but I've got some units helping, and I'm using my general staff to run some rear charges. It's a bit risky, but it can help turn it. Anyway, over here they start getting good position on these old guard, get some good shots on them, but he wisely disengaged from that. Here we see these Ottoman cavs coming in the back again. I used square over here, but it didn't go for this unit. But there's a nicely placed unit of infantry up here, which is going to get some good shots off onto these onto this Ottoman cav. But this militia is indeed just going to be destroyed. So I mean, this French player is playing very well, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm beating 3 players," and he was quite confident about how he was going, and he did play well. I definitely take my hat off to him, but he did have a lot of help from this Ottoman cav, which stopped us being able to concentrate our forces completely. So yes, he played very well, but he made it look like he was the only one who did any good, but he did a discredit to his Ottoman ally here, who was definitely helping him a great deal in this battle. But anyway, he's going to hold out quite well, use these woodlands as reserves, as cover rather, not reserves, what am I on about? Let's see, let's have a look up here. I think yeah, Mr. Bond is finally moving in. It looks like my general just kicked the bucket, or bit the dust, whatever you want to say. But the old guard are under attack, but he's retreating here, and I think he's just trying to wear us down a little bit. Hopefully enough for, say, Prussia to have enough left, but if Mr. Bond fights well enough, it should be fine. Now, this was another problem. I did not know. I was saying to this guy, I was like, seriously, move these guys. Just sitting them here in the centre is just a waste of time. Either bring them down here or send them up there to help kill Prussia. One or the other. Probably to help Prussia would be better, to help take out Prussia, because we've got this guy pretty much wrapped up. But just leaving them sitting there is just not, productive at this point, because they're doing nothing. And look, he's got a couple of cav units. They could be really helpful down here in mocking up the French. And he could easily just push up on these guys. So those 2 British players, although the British player in the middle, he did help. I think they were a little bit static in this fight. They didn't do enough at times. Personally, especially though James Bond on the end there, he did. I mean, no offence when I say this, but he didn't. He sat around there too long, and if the Prussian player had not done pretty much the same thing and just sat around on that hill, could have been more dangerous. So you got to make sure you're in working with your allies. You're not sitting around doing nothing for too long, because otherwise it's quite risky. Now again, if we look, there's still some regrouped cavalry here. So I mean, this Ottoman player was constantly in our backs with a crap load of cavalry, and it was always dividing our attention, so we could never concentrate fully on these guys here, which made it much easier for this French player to fight, because he was not fighting our concentrated force, because we could never put our concentrated force down at any point, and that's definitely why he lasted as long as he did. I think he played well. He definitely worked well, and he used cover well. He attacked in good places. But his Ottoman ally was a big reason why he was able to hold out so long, I think, anyway. Anyway, there's a bit of a cav attack here. Looks like he's caught these old guard, but they've gone to squares, so he will want to get out of that pretty quickly, otherwise he'll lose that cav. And I'm trying to push around here, but again, I've got the Ottoman cav behind me. But we'll manage to get into squares just in time, which is great. So yeah, that's good. And this cav over here is useful because it stops these guys from shooting at me, so we should be able to destroy these guys here. And then he finally brings these dragoons in from over here, and this should put an end to the last of these Ottoman cavalry at last, which have been very nuisance in this fight, but they've been used effectively for the most part. Some of his attacks were not well coordinated with them, but they certainly were effective in making it much harder for us in this fight. So I'm going to break up my squares now, because I should be able to, between these 2 units, I should be able to take down these Ottoman cav, although this British cav does rout, which was concerning. Again though, like seriously, this lot of units he's got like 5 units just for 2 men over here. He needs to, I think, push harder here. As you can see, there's still a number of units from James Bond era just not moving, so his fight was a little too slow, but I'm going to go back down here because this is where the action took place. As you can see, get into some more shootouts down here, and these guys are pushing up through here, but this cav is still being a nuisance. As you see, it's constantly dividing our attention, all the time, so we're never able to truly focus enough firepower down on to make use of our numerical advantage against these guys, which was very, very nuisance. So I think, you know, this player had a great idea. This cab was an unconventional build for sure, but he managed to make it work quite well. I just didn't think it was quite as well coordinated as it could have been. Had it been better coordinated, I think we would have been in for a very hard time in this fight, to be honest, especially me, because I was getting sandwiched there and I had no support for quite some time. But fortunately I managed to gain support. Over here, I get into a melee with one of these old guard with some of my infantry, and I was actually losing it. We put in more forces, but he puts in a cav charge from his general, which is good, because cav is always a great way to disrupt things. Over here, more of these chasseurs are firing. We've got a bit of swampy sort of action here. But I would give that fight obviously to the Portuguese player though, because their skirmishes are better. Over here, as you can see, he's going to win this particular melee fight, and I think by this point that takes all of my men out of the equation. So it's up to the other guys to finish up the battle here. And that's my final unit routing. So this French player has certainly done a very, very good job here of making, you know, the moves by this Ottoman player work to his advantage. Let's have a look up here. Looks like Bond is finally engaging. But I mean, these two, I actually think, if my memory serves me, this Prussian player might have been dropped actually. I think he might have. Now that I think about it, this battle was a few weeks ago. It was, you know, probably over a month ago now. But I think the Prussian player was actually dropped. That's why he sat around so long. But our British ally up here, Bond, did not get dropped or anything. So I don't know. I do not know why he took so long to make an engagement, especially against the AI. Anyway, as you can see, we're about to finish off what's left of the French player down here, which is fantastic, but I take my hat off to him. He fought very well, made great use of his Ottoman allies' cav actions to take advantage of our divided attention, and it worked out very, very well indeed. And this should be the end of him though. He's just got a couple of units here, but he's done a very, very good job. He's done a very good job. So yeah, just mopping up some of the AI units up here. If you guys want to skip ahead towards the end, that's up to you. I didn't end up editing this video as I thought I would, because the action was actually really consistent. There wasn't any waiting points, which I thought there was, but there wasn't. As you can see, the Prussian units are just being mopped up by these reserved British units that did stay here. And that results in these guys more or less being destroyed pretty much straight away. And there's just a couple of these French units that still roam the battlefield. I'll actually go to triple speed momentarily. It's actually kind of laggy, so let's go to double speed. Doesn't even look like it's going quicker. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, so there's basically just units getting mopped up here. But I felt this flank up here was very dull, pretty boring, not much happened. There was so much action down on the right wing though. I actually got to say, this is a very interesting map. It's got like a high, like a mountainish, well, not a mountain, but like a large sort of high terrain location up on the left. Then it's got lots of kind of choke points with the lakes, and good cover points with the woods. Then it's kind of nice and flat through the centre, and then it drops down, slopes down over here. And we had all sorts of action on the battlefield, you know. And I thought it was a really nice battle. Let me just triple speed again. Surely it'll go to triple speed. There we go. So yeah, I mean, it definitely was a really good battle. And it was unconventional too, like the massive cavalry spam, which usually wouldn't be that great, but on this battlefield it really could have been the end of my army very well if they'd perhaps coordinated a little better. I think it was reasonably well coordinated, and I was able to get my squares into gear. Had I made even one micro error with those squares, I would have been completely destroyed, I think, because I would have been overwhelmed by the numbers. But it was a good tactic, because I was never able to concentrate my numbers. back here. I was never able to concentrate in my numbers as much as I wanted to, so I was always fighting at a disadvantage of numbers there for quite some time. But it was fortunate that Portugal was able to come in, and then the British players had to come in and support me, because I think I would have been destroyed otherwise. Well, I would have been destroyed otherwise. There's no I think, it's just a definite. But we're finally going to get rid of this French player, so that's the end of his army, which is good. And now we're just going to mop up the remainder of this AI, which is almost destroyed. I'm pretty sure the Prussian player was an AI by this point. As I said, this battle was about a month ago, so I don't remember all the specifics. I do remember enough, of course, to be able to commentate it effectively, though, I think. It was an absolutely excellent battle, though, and this was, I think, my first 4v4 that I've done on Napoleon, simply because getting 4v4s on Napoleon in the past was impossible for me, but since my connection with Napoleon is much better, it's doable, and I have some other 4v4s and 3v3 battles that I will upload to you in the coming days, I think. Tell me if you want more Napoleon. I think Napoleon's an absolutely awesome game. I mean, I'd play Rome 1 and Med 2 more, of course, but it's still an absolutely fantastic, brilliant game, and it's always got great action and great tactics you can employ in this game. So, I mean, if you guys want to see more, please do tell, because I think we definitely would definitely be having some great battles there, because I've still got some really good battles I need to upload, and I can play more Napoleon too if you guys would want to see more Napoleon. It's entirely up to you. I've got absolutely truckloads of videos for pretty much all Total Wars. Like got a bunch of 31Ks for Rome, several really nice battles for Med 2, as I said, tons on Napoleon here to do, and a bunch on Rome 2 as well. So I have plenty of surplus to go, and no doubt I'll play more extra battles in future and only continue to add to it. So I mean, it's kind of a good thing. Like, I play at a rate that allows me to be always adding new great battles to be uploaded faster than I run out of battles to be uploaded. So I always have a constant stream of some sort of battle for you guys. And let's just triple speed again. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great to find out what you guys are after, because there are many things I can focus on doing. I mean, of course, it's the historical battle series as well. That, just because we haven't done that in a few weeks, does not mean it's not going to be done. It just means it's been put on hold because myself and Swedes have been a bit busy. Anyway, there is the statistics. I have 1,025 kills with 1,499 losses. It's not like I've got over 1,000, which is pleasing. It's not super good, but at the same time, I was quite pleased with how I performed in this fight, because I felt I had a pretty challenging scenario there, firing against those French guards. He had more guards than me on that flank. I had a few extra lines. It was pretty even, but with all his those Ottoman cav in the back there, I really had my work cut out to try and defend from those French attack on the front and the Ottomans from the back, and I think I did a good job. I held my own until my allies were able to come and support me. Portugal here, 1,873. He did absolutely excellent. He really smashed this Ottoman army here, and then he came in and offered some great support to me. He was a good teammate in this fight. He was very good. MudMan here, he was a little bit slow at first with getting his infantry into the right places, and he left that sort of group of British troops around a little bit too long, but he did work in as a team member, and his support was very helpful. James Bond, he didn't really do a lot in the fight, to be honest. He sat around for quite a while, and his fight was mostly with the Prussian AI. We look at this guy here, the French player, 1,721. He did do very well, but he did get quite a lot of great support from those Ottoman cav from the USSR. So it was a close battle, I felt. I think everyone played fairly well, to be honest. Let's see, what got my kills? Swiss Guard, my old guard, all my guard units here, which is pretty much what I expected. And I felt, they did well under the pressure they were under. I think it worked out pretty well. But it was all pretty standard everywhere else. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, as I said just before, tell me if you want more Napoleon or something else, because the feedback is very useful to me, because it enables me to focus on things that you guys might be interested in. and that's really helpful to know. So any comments, anything like that is really welcome, guys. Constructive criticism is always good. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon next time.